Hello ladies and gentlemen. Okay, today we are going to be talking about hot pots, also known as onabe, shabu shabu. There's loads of other names. Not necessarily how to cook one, although you will see the process in the video. I'll include one or two recipes in the description which require very minimal ingredients for the soup base. This video is more for highlighting why we eat this delicious meal at least once a week, if not more. Now I have to admit, when my wife first told me about this dish, I at first thought she was talking about the western version. You know, the classic Lancashire hot pot with all the potatoes in that we used to have when we was growing up in those winter months. No, this one's actually got quite a long history and has actually been around for 1,000 years. It actually originated in China, although most Asian countries have taken their own approach to this dish, whereas China would pack with loads of flavours and stuff like that. Korean ones would usually have more like a spicy punch to it. As for Japanese ones, these are much more subtle in the flavours that they're using, and they use such things like Shirodashi as a base. I've listed this one in the description below. Traditionally, when you would have this dish, you would usually have like a stove at the centre of your table with like a big dish. This could be like a pot like the one we're using here, or a big metal container. Sometimes these actual metal containers have little separators in. This is so you can have different flavours of broth. I would say before you run off to Amazon to buy an awesome new pot for this, give it a try using your own saucepans, as it will still do the job. Just make sure it's of a decent size really. Although it is quite a basic dish to prepare, it is widely eaten in restaurants all over the world. The reason for this is different places have amazing tasting broths that you might not know how to prepare at home, so I will always try and advise people to have it in a real restaurant to experience what it's actually like. The great thing is with this dish is due to the nature of how it's actually cooked, if you're doing it the proper way of serving this with a bowl in the middle, maybe one of those little portable stoves, it's actually a really fun thing to do, and you can get your other half involved, maybe get your kids involved. You know, if someone's not as skilled in the kitchen, let's say, then it's just a fun thing to get to do together, because you sit there, you might just add some things and just wait, have a little chat, and it's just a really fun experience to do. Definitely worthwhile trying it out. And don't worry, for all you forever alone people, that's not a problem as well. This dish is totally acceptable to eat on your own, although I probably would still recommend enjoying the experience with someone else if you can. As for what to put inside the hot pot, this is one of my favourite things about this dish. There really isn't any set rules. Now don't get me wrong, there is preferred things that work better in this dish. For example, I put in this one chicken, tofu, woodlands mushrooms, Chinese cabbage and pak choi. Other meats you could do, and it's not limited to these, is pork, crab, chicken, lamb, duck or even lobster. As for the vegetables, literally I would pretty much try anything that could be boiled. One common practice amongst people, if you are feeling hungry, there is nothing wrong with adding noodles to this either. It really can just fill it out. It does add those extra carbs, but I mean, like, if you are feeling hungry, you can add those and fill yourself right up. Now, one of the reasons I consider myself a massive advocate of this dish is the health benefits. Nothing is fried and everything is boiled. This means, as for health, this is pretty damn good for you. The only oils you're really getting is from the meats, but it's not really bad oils. I mean, you need some oils for your body. Although I would say this with a pinch of salt, as some places include quite a lot of calories in their broths they make because they add even more oils into those. But I would still say, as for calorie counting, this is still going to be healthier than eating like a tray of karaage. This is a Japanese style deep fried chicken for those who are unaware. Comment below if you're actually interested in seeing a cooking video on this. If you decide to try this in a restaurant in the UK, please be aware it's quite pricey for what it actually is. I mean, because it is just veggies and meat cooked in a broth and you're doing a lot of the work. So it's just one of those things. So if you are going to go find somewhere, try and find places that potentially has all you can eat veggies or all you can eat meats, because you'll get a lot more bang for your buck in that situation. But for myself, I'll probably continue experimenting with different flavors at home, at least until I can get back to Japan, because their ones are amazing out there and they do have really good deals for eating this dish. For us to cook this at home, you can see the pricing I've included on the screen. For two people to get full on something that's very healthy, I would say is an absolute win. As for feeling full, this side is one of the greatest advantages about this dish. Due to the nature of the way it's cooked in a broth, you are going to be getting a lot of liquids inside of you. And as you may be aware, the more liquids you have, the more full you feel, and you will get really full on this. But the good thing is you don't get that sort of sluggish feeling after eating something very oily. So, yeah, because it's so good for your health, it's just one of those things. It's another benefit, feeling full and not having the negative downsides to it. That's another win. If the thought of making a broth is too scary for you, remember, like anything, there is always a cheap method, such as a pre-made broth, instant broth, in which you could just add water. I'll try and link some of these up if you want to try an easier approach for your first time. Now if you got any questions about this dish, please feel free to ask me. I'll do my best to answer as always. I feel I've quite a bit of knowledge on this dish now. I've been eating this for around 5 or 6 years, usually at least once a week, whereas my wife's actually been eating this her whole life. Now you take care of yourself guys, eat well, live well and all that lot, and I'll see you again soon.